Hi, Stuart.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about allowing and resisting. I can give some context to that if you like.
Um, well, allowing and resisting are both, they're almost exactly the same thing. Generally, when we need to receive a new level in our life, we need to receive spiritual energy. It means we have to let go of something. That letting go of something allows that energy to work on us and take us to a much higher level in our life. At the same time, there's always an enormous amount of resistance because we get comfortable the way we're living, we get used to it, it becomes, you know, a habit. We form habits in the way we live that way, and letting go of these things creates resistance. So, allowing a new level to manifest in your life, that in itself is going to create resistance. Overcoming the resistance is learning how to use the will to transform your resistance into chi, into harmony, into balance, into inner strength. So all of these things work together. They're not separate from each other. One causes the other. So, we have to understand that because we think we're going to allow ourselves to, and then, my God, we're up against ourselves, having been living in certain ways, with certain habits, with certain conditioned reflexes, certain ways of thinking about the world and what we think is right or wrong. And it all needs to be given up. We need to let go of it to allow that new level to come into our lives. It's a battle of dragons. It's really the battlefield of truth. And there's nothing wrong with either one of them. We can't beat ourselves up because we feel resistance. We can't beat ourselves up because we're not living quite the way we think we should. Then we have to say, what do I have to do to go deeper, to open more, to allow the Shakti, the energy, to nurture me in a much deeper place inside? What am I resisting? What kind of changes am I resisting? What is my comfort zone? That's almost the worst place, the comfort zone, because that's something almost nobody wants to give up. And yet, if you want to change and grow, if you want to attain deeper levels of creativity and connections with God and spirit and infinite energy in the universe, you got to give up your comfort zones. You have to be willing to step into the unknown. That's one of the hardest, the most difficult steps for a human being to take, stepping into the unknown. But there in the unknown lies the most extraordinary level of creative energy, of growth, of spiritual development, of connecting with infinite energy in the universe, allowing that energy, trusting that energy so that it guides our lives and determines how we live every day, not habitude, not, conditioned reflexes and a mind that, tries to control everything, but openness and allowing higher energy. Therein is the struggle to have a spiritual life. The 40 years that Christ spent struggling with the devil in the desert, the Jewish people going, manna falling from heaven in the desert. I mean, the manna that falls from heaven to us is Shakti, is energy, spiritual energy. It's food. We need that energy in order to transform ourselves, take the next step, move to a higher plane of consciousness within ourselves. I mean, all of those stories are literally just metaphors for what goes on in a human being when they truly are asking and attempting to have a spiritual life. And where's the promised land? You understand? It's inner peace. Being able to live peacefully with ourselves is the promised land. Being able to open to spiritual energy. We have to allow that to happen. But we also have to understand that there's always going to be a struggle. And the person we're up against, as I say all the time, is only ourselves. We get used to living in certain ways. We don't want to let go of them. They're comfortable. Even the things we complain about can be comfortable, because at least we're familiar with them and we know what they are. So there's really no answer to your question, you understand? Because both of those things work together. And both of those things, allowing and resistance, are essential for inner growth. One gives birth to the other. When we try to allow, there's always resistance. When we try to resist, there's always that thing in us that wants to go to a higher level of spiritual development. So we got to allow it to happen.
Yes, thank you, Stuart. I've noticed that these latest weeks that things has been more resistance in my life somehow, but also I feel stronger. And thank God for these classes because it's reminding me and giving me the strength to see life as a teacher, and that helps me somehow to not battle with the tension and to not allow my mind to get in these projects trying to fix it or somehow doing a lot of things with it from my mind and losing myself somehow. But it is interesting how challenging that is. So thank you very much for these classes.
And Leo, I can see the amount from the time you came back here to study till today, you're a completely different person. I can see the strength inside you. I can see the chakra system developing inside you. It's a whole new person. And I am very grateful for that. It means what I'm teaching here, what I'm sharing, and it's working. So, the only expectation is that the more you grow, the more resistance there's going to be. And trust me, I've been doing this for a really long time. And you can't believe the resistance I still have in myself to letting go, to allowing it to happen. And the higher you go and the more evolved you become inside yourself, the greater the resistance. But that battle is the battlefield of truth. When I was younger, I used to read the Bhagavad Gita, and it opens with the battlefield of truth. And there's two families are on this battlefield up against each other. And I said, well, why is this the battlefield of? And then I began to realize what they're writing about is that struggle inside a human being. That's the battlefield of truth. And learning to build a system inside, that enables you to become a spiritual warrior is one way of winning the battle. Having that kind of strength in yourself. The Shakti, the energy of these classes, if people do them in a deep way, in a real way, that's what it provides. That power, that strength to overcome resistance in ourselves. So keep growing, Leo. You're doing great. I really mean it. It's just amazing how much you've changed, literally in a short time since you've come back here to study.
You.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question?
Sure, I have a question.
Yes, Bob.
There are sometimes I can't tell if the resistance I'm feeling is because I've done my work well or because I'm I'm a schmuck. And so is
Probably a
there
little
a
bit of both.
discernment?
It's probably a little bit of both. Sometimes when you do your work really, really well, you discover what kind of schmuck you are. So I wouldn't worry about it, you know? It means you're growing, okay? I mean, Rudy used to call me a schmuck all the time. I thought I was having great inner work and incredible openings. And he would tell me the schmuck thinks he's having a spiritual life. He would tell me this all the time. And I had to learn how to overcome the kingdom of schmuckdom in myself. And it was gradually, incrementally, you learn how to get past that part of yourself. Forget about schmuck. That's unconscious. That resistance, that has resistance, that doesn't want to truly open and embrace this higher form of energy in the universe. That's the kingdom of schmuckdom. And we all have it in us. So I wouldn't worry about it, Bob. You're okay. If it's coming to the surface, at least you know what you have to deal with. And I'll tell it for the 150th time in the last 3 weeks, you don't have to be perfect. We all have the kingdom of schmuckdom inside us. And in many ways, we need it. We need it. It's a reminder that we have to continue to work on ourselves. Sorry I cut you off, Bob, but I had to remember how many times I was called a schmuck when I was by Rudy. Look at him, how he's growing, and you're such a schmuck. You know how many times I heard that? And he knew what he was doing because he knew I had to overcome that reality in myself. And he knew I could take it. You understand? I wasn't going to run away. I was going to, okay, what do I have to do to grow? And it's kind of fun to be a schmuck sometimes, you know, really, you know. I mean, to be well, God's drunken child, you know. I mean, like those two guys in Japanese paintings, I always forget their names, but you know, they're painted, they're always drunk, their eyes rolled, and they would broom sweeping the monastery, you know, and they're like God's children, they're God's divine comedy living on earth. And the time came to find somebody to replace the abbot who just died. The only two that were living in Zen were these two guys, totally conscious of living in the moment, drunk on God's wisdom, drunk on God, drunk on higher energy in the universe. And we all need to be a little drunk on higher energy in the universe. Doesn't mean we're not responsible and we don't truly respect life, but we're drunk. We're stoned on God's higher energy, you know? It's all right. Better than marijuana.
Third, I have another question.
Yes.
I love the hearing about how you're able to speak with these folks in the podcast in such a way to where there's such neutrality in the way that you're speaking that the two different traditions can uh, coexist and open things. Can you talk about how about doing that? How that you speak like that?
But Bob, mostly I do it by listening to them, tuning into their vibration. I mean, there was one podcast that I just told the guy, I said, this is bullshit. And I just walked away from it. I really mean it. I said, I'm not here to do this. I told this guy. And I said, this is pure bullshit. And I just walked away. I cut it short. Mostly, look, mostly people want to learn something. They want to bring something of a higher quality to other people. And I found, especially with these young people in India, they listen. They come open to learn something. They don't come knowing better, having to interject themselves and their ego into the conversation. And them doing that enables me to talk from a very deep place inside myself and connect with them that way. And I love it. I love it. And it brings out something in me that is not my ordinary way of conversing with other people. So, and then I discover that, that they're open. People here are open. So I can talk this way also. Understand, if I go into the marketplace or when I was in business and I had to deal with people in India, especially, I had to, I had to keep my hand in every pocket, you know? When we're dealing with money and all that nonsense, And but when talking to these people, I discovered that they're very open. They want to learn something. And I want to listen to them and talk to them in accordance to what I hear. And sometimes, even in the silence, I am inspired to talk about very profound things. And then I'll stop and let them ask a question, and that motivates the conversation to go on. I'm learning a lot doing this about interacting with people, about talking to people, and probably mostly about listening to people. I'm also learning a lot about, trust me, about people in this world that are scammers. I have been blitzed since I published this book, Rudra Meditation. I have been blitzed, which I'm 50, 75 scammers have tried to just, rip, and it took me a while to learn how to deal with these people very quickly and to recognize AI. I had no idea what AI was. And now it's like I can see it immediately, And AI, I discovered, is not necessarily a negative thing. You understand? It's the way people use it. That's the negative part. It's not AI. AI can be used for wonderful things in life. It's the way people use it. So I've learned a lot since I published my book and I started doing these podcasts and, dealing with scammers and dealing with those who are not scammers, and people that were sincerely interested in promoting the book I wrote. So for me, it's a very simple reality, Bob. What am I learning here? And how to keep myself from being upset because people are trying to commit frauds, just recognizing it and dealing with it point blank. I sent an email to a woman today, exactly like that, point blank. Don't write me back anymore because I'll delete your emails. I will not answer your emails. And then talking to these, I hope you all get these conversations I have with these young people in India. They're very wonderful. And as I say, if you get in touch with me, I will send you, there's 4 of them, and I can just send an email very quickly to you. I'll send one to you, Bob. You can put it on my website. And it's just, to me, another way of communicating with life. Listen, Paul, if you have to stretch, please turn your camera off because it's really disturbing the whole class. You have to get up and stretch. Just turn your camera off and go stretch. I have no problems with that, but don't do it while I'm trying to teach here and you're waving your arms and stretching and all that stuff. So just turn your camera off, go stretch, and it's just fine. When you finish, you can come back again. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, it's me, Flora.
Yes.
I feel better now in my mind and body, but I feel that I'm struggle to work with my inner, you know. I kind of feel like I have to find the word. It's like strange state for me. How to deal with that? Because
Well,
I'm feeling better now, but I can work so much like before.
look, Lori, you've been coming here a couple of years now doing this, and you have grown to a different person, even being able to ask this question. You've grown into a different person, Flora. And every level that you attain in life has its struggle. So now it's up to you to go deeper in yourself to find a way of dealing with this situation, taking in more Shakti, opening more. And as I said to somebody else just before, there's going to be resistance. There's going to be resistance. And resistance is not necessarily a negative thing. It's just telling you that you're ready to grow to another level in your life. You just have to make the effort to go deep enough to do it. I mean, I see you today and it's a joy. I really mean that. It's a joy for, how much you've changed in a very short time, 2 years. So let's go to the next level, okay?
Okay, I will
Just try and relax in yourself and accept yourself for how much you've come in your life, how far you've come in your life. Just accept it and stop having to beat yourself up, okay? You don't have to do it anymore.
How you know that?
Just stop doing it and just accept you have grown, you have changed. You're like a kind of a delicious flower now, Whereas before it was really difficult to even deal with you. You were so on edge all the time. So let's go from here, okay, to the next level.
I will try to do, but I'm so happy and I feel good here. Maybe because of that, I resist to go deeper.
Yeah, and both your sons are here, and it's wonderful.
Yes,
It's a miracle.
I
Both
hope.
going to, and you have a lot to be grateful for, Flora. So let's start there, okay?
Thank you.
Now, does anyone else have a question they would like to? Okay, if there are no more questions, then there will be meditation on Sunday, same time. I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Thank you. God bless you all. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. God bless you too.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome.
To